Hey guys, this is John from ChristopherIan.com and Christopher and Friends podcast. I am here at C2E2 Chicago, fresh off the panel of Comics, American Culture, and the Black Male Image, Perspectives from the Creators. I'm standing here with John Jennings, to my left, Eric Dean Stanton, Seaton to my right, and Stacey Robs. I'm sorry, actually your name isn't even on here. The panel was covering the black male image in modern comics as is today, as it was called the mythology that is the American way of life right now. You guys covered a lot of issues, a lot of topics. One issue that I didn't hear, and I'm sorry maybe I arrived late to it, one popular trend is taking comic characters that were originally white, Jewish, and so forth, and turning them into African American characters. Do you guys want to see more of that, or would you prefer the creation of more stronger, positive African American characters?
It's a double-edged question, because the reason they take from those characters is because there aren't enough strong, positive African American characters or any characters of any nationality. I'm not against it in the terms of when they do it in movies and TV and all that, because it's supposed to be the artist's representation. But the real question lies, why is it being done? You know what I mean? Is it because it's easier? Because you're just going to take something that you weren't selling, that wasn't doing that good, and put a new fresh spin on it to make more money? Or are you doing it because you really care about that culture? If you really care about that culture, find someone to create a new character and support that character and watch that culture grow.
Both financially and through like just support. Absolutely. Right, exactly, yeah, because you're exactly right. I call those characters hand-me-down heroes. Because basically, you know, if you think about the mainstream, the big two, they're huge corporations. A superhero logo it's a logo, right? And so they're rebranding or franchising, and they've been doing this for a long time. Supergirl, Robin, these are all like spin-off characters that are just basically trying to, push out the franchise, right? So I totally agree with what Eric's saying. Create and support black characters or gay characters or female characters that are from scratch. Just put the money behind them and get it out there, right? And you do have some great characters too, like Miss Marvel's a great character, right? The new Pakistani Miss Marvel. I love Cyborg, but he's an older character. But also, like, I love Miles Morales, and he's a really solid character, but he's coming from a place where, who created the character? The writer. Brian Michael Bendis is actually writing that character for a particular reason to push that character. So I think it ebbs and flows. I would say I'm more with making the best characters that you can. Like, I would rather see a Falcon book than a Sam Wilson's Captain America book, though, personally.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm actually more concerned about the pushback from the independents, from those who saw the lack of diversity but took it upon themselves to collaborate, to team up, to make new characters from their imaginations as a form of resistance. I actually think that is the stronger commentary than what the mainstream is actually doing with their characters, right? And making characters into people of color. Right. Instead, the people who grew up seeing the lack of diversity, they said, well, I don't see myself in comic books. Well, forget that. I'm going to put myself into my own comic books. Right. I think that is the stronger commentary, right?
And it always has been, too. And that's where something like Legend of the Mantomaji comes from, right? Where it's a multicultural adventure story from various standpoints, right? But you see this in like Afrofuturism, Latino futurism, right? Where people are writing themselves into existence. That's what Octavia Butler did. That's why she did it. She didn't see herself. Yeah.
Now, given the status of characters of color, minority, and different sexes in the comic books, how would you like to see them be portrayed more so? Because sometimes when the comic book character is portrayed, that they have a certain weakness, a certain stereotype to them
we're talking about the superhero genre, though, right? You know what I'm saying? This thing is like, that's one thing that in American comics we seem really fixated on the superhero. The comics are a medium, right? So I think the first thing to do is to diversify not only who's making the comics, who's greenlighting the comics, but think about what types of narratives are being made, right? There's some great comics that are being made that are not superhero comics. A comic like Ghetto Brother, right, from MBM Publishing, right? I mean, it's a great book, that no one hardly knows about, right? It's a great book, though, right? But they know about, like, the Falcon, right? So we need to support diversity about, like, what types of stories we're telling, too, with the medium of
I think because comic books are still viewed by the masses, a niche market, that the first thing you think of comic book, you think of superhero.
Right.
But there's so many other stories. The funny thing is, because I work in television, and most of the good TV or movies were comic books that weren't superheroes. Right. Superheroes are actually only done well by the two main companies who are now run by people that grew up reading those comic books, so they know how to tell those stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you look at something like The Road to Perdition, right? That's a comic. That's a graphic novel. You know, there's other stories like American Splendor that are about like slice of life, that kind of thing. But I want to see those stories too. Yeah.
And I would further say that, so remember Marvel recently did their variant covers and they were doing these mocks of the hip hop album covers. There was a lot of pushback. A lot of that pushback wasn't really because they were spoofing or mocking or sampling, remixing the hip hop album covers. It was because this is how the diversity is supposed to take place in comics, through the aesthetics, appropriation of the aesthetics, instead of employing Black and Latino editors, for example, or Black and Latino writers or people of color, people who are actually in power positions that change the imagery.
That's right.
Right, to are actually empowering instead of using the aesthetics.
And to jump off of what he said and jump off your question, you said, how would you want us to be represented? Just like everything else. We can save the world. We can go to the future. We can be heroes. We can be villains. We can be gay. We can be straight. The thing is, when every time you put a color on it, it's all of a sudden, well, how do they look? Well, why can't they look like everybody else? You know, I'm not for the Black James Bond because I think create our own hero. But guess what? There can be a hero that could be like James Bond that could be Black.
You have many.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. Look at a character like Blackjack by Alexander Simmons, right? I mean, he's like Black Indiana Jones, but you know, that kind of thing.
In the panel, you guys discussed about dreaming and trying to fulfill your dreams and not giving up on them. What words of advice would you say to the young African American, Latino, the young woman out there trying to get their dream out into the world, trying to get their comic book character created that might look just like them?
I would say you're not entitled to anything. I would say when you talk to a lot of people, ask questions. Because what happens when you go to somebody, when you ask a question versus asking a job, you get information. People love to talk. So they give you, when you listen to what they're telling you, they're telling you how to do it. I would say never give up on your dream, always try. You know, but it is a long road, and you're going to make mistakes. But a mistake is not a bad thing. A mistake is telling you where the right road is.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say. Don't be afraid to fail, because you will fail. Right. Nobody comes out of the womb. Nobody came out of their mother running. Right? We learned how to run by emulating adults, right? You are going to crawl, you're going to learn to sit up, you're going to fall, you're going to get hurt, you are going to fail. That is part of the process of becoming successful, and you need not to be scared of that.
Any projects you guys are working on right now, individually, separately, as a group?
Yeah, so John and I are working on several projects together, actually. Our Black Kirby Collaborative, we're a collaborative team called Black Kirby. We use the aesthetics of Jack Kirby in order to critique comics, and we make comics that are resistance comics. So one of the books that we're working on is Night Boy, right? One of the other books is Kid Cole with Rosarian Publishing. Number 1 is out. Number 2 and 3 will be coming out very soon. And we're also working on a book for Lee and Low Books called I Am Alfonso Jones. We just signed a contract to do that with writer Tony Medina.
I'm currently working on the next book of Legend of Mantomaji. It's called Bloodlines. And then I dabble in both worlds, so I'm also directing a pilot for Nickelodeon called Hopefuls and just came back from Vancouver. So I jump back and forth. Well, I continuously do both worlds, but we're working on the next book. And we did our live action short, which you can see on our website, which I'd like to do more of.
Sounds great. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Real quick before we go, can people have social media accounts where they can reach you if they want to talk to you, shoot you tweets?
Sure. Stacey Robinson on Facebook. That's the best way to get at me. I hate Twitter, but I am, if you are so inclined to Twitter, you love Twitter, I'm God Shabach. That's GODSHABACH on Twitter. And I'm on Instagram as well.
And you can go to Legend of the Mantomaji, which is MANTAMAJI.com, where it has our link to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that. And if you're into directing, the other side of it is just my name, Eric Dean Seaton.
And I'm currently at the University of Buffalo at J.I. Jennings at buffalo.edu. I'm a professor there. And also Twitter is J.I. Jennings, right? And I'm also on Facebook too, so I'm the John Jennings who lives in Buffalo. Probably, yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks, as always. Have a good one. Believe the hype.